Friday. Good Friday. Hopefully, you're doing well. We are so glad to see you today. Let me say it the way they say it. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're well with your families. You're doing good today. It's the first day of September. It's the new season. It's a new month. I call it the first day of the last quarter of 2023. Before we realize the year will be gone, we'll not be thinking about 2023 anymore. And so today is the day that you might think about what are the goals that you've been setting, what are the things that you have been doing for 2023, what have you achieved, what are your goals, etc. And if you've got anything that haven't achieved yet, you still have 4 months still basically from today. And so we have been on a challenge, and today is day 19 of the challenge. Now, today it gives me so much pleasure because I get to bring the one and only dearest friend and sister of mine, Abigail. She's not a stranger here. She's home
Mhm.
today with us. And good afternoon, my dear friend.
Well, good afternoon, Claire. I'm so delighted to be back. As you
Yeah,
say, it's home. So I just feel at home. No more, no more feeling like a guest. I feel like it's so exciting. Let me just say that.
I know. And every time I usually send that cheeky mail message, says, when are
Mhm.
we going live? It just kind of gives me that like vibes feeling. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's happening again. It's gonna be
Mhm.
happening again. How have you been, my dear friend?
Very well, thank you. Of course, catching up with the intermittent fasting.
Mm,
Well, some days have been tough, my friend. Sometimes
mm.
you're like, hey, Claire, you should have said 21. At least it would be 2 days to.
2 days.
But
You know,
then,
that's yeah,
but then now determined to go.
yeah.
And generally, things are well. I am grateful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I think yesterday. I haven't been for a run for 2, 3 days. I think I took some time off. My body was just exhausted. And so
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, at the end of the day, my son was like, Mommy, let's go out. And as we wanted, I was like, let's drive. He was like, no, no, no. For the sake of saving the environment, let's walk. So as we were walking, we
Mm-hmm.
ended up being rained on and we were
Oh.
soaked coming back from home. And I was saying to him, are you not regretting not driving? He said, no, we are saving the environment. And as I was walking and chatting to him, he's saying to me, Mommy,
Mm-hmm.
all these days you've been doing this challenge. It feels like 60 days. I said to him, indeed, it feels like 60 days, but no. So we started
Mm-hmm.
counting how many more days to go. So, what are you
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be talking about?
Yeah.
Where's the content for these days? I say, don't worry,
Mm-hmm.
because tomorrow Auntie Abby will be live with Mommy. And then on Saturday is my weigh day, so I have something to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. I don't
Uh-huh.
do I don't do anything on Sundays. I try to take a day off on Sunday, keep it Sabbath
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So we
Yeah.
started calculating how many days do I still have to prepare for content? What's gonna be the content? And I was like, no, I'm just 6 years old. I shouldn't be having all these conversations. But it was a really nice one.
But the goodness with you is that you flow. In whatever you do, you just flow. Like I was watching you, doing the one you did yesterday, and I was just thinking, oh, and then you said you want to continue. You want to actually make it a lifestyle. And so I
Lifestyle.
thought, I thought to myself, I think I need to do this. So I've been doing the 18-6. But
Yeah,
from today, I decided because I want to make it a lifestyle, I
yeah,
decided to switch to the 16-8
yeah,
because, but imagine I was supposed to have my meal at 2, that is
yeah,
2 p.m. Kenyan time, but
yeah,
I didn't even have it. I think I'm used to, later hours. So
yeah.
it's
And I
like,
think it's yeah,
mhm.
go ahead, I'm listening,
No, I was
sis.
just saying it's like my body has taken a new norm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And imagine, we talked about this, isn't it? We're saying it takes
Mm-hmm.
21 days for something to
Yeah.
become a habit and 90 days for it to become a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. And
Yeah.
imagine if somebody who started with us 19 days ago, they have only
Mm-hmm.
2 more days for it to become like a habit. it's so
Yeah.
easy for it to become to it can look like quite a lot at the beginning,
Mhm,
but then when you're
mhm,
thinking
mhm.
about it now, it doesn't really feel like it's been a lot. How has been like for you, your experiences?
It only feels like it's a lot when the cravings come. But then the other times it's fun
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, when I'm thinking of the reason I'm doing this, then
Mm,
it gives it because I remember like this morning at around 11, I felt, oh, I started looking at my watch and
mm.
then I remembered my my why, and then there was actually a biscuit around and I just said, no, 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 Abby, remember your why,
Yeah.
remember. So just thinking about that. So I think thinking of my why has kept me, and then just thinking that I want to develop this as a habit has kept me
Mm,
moving. So I think
mm.
that has really helped. Yes.
Yeah, and I think as you're saying that, Abby, like if we go back, because I really want us today to talk a little bit about discipline and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I know it seems
Mm-hmm.
like D and G don't really, well, it can be a good rhyme, but
I
then
love the subjects.
the subjects, I know. But before
Mm-hmm.
we dig
Mm-hmm.
deep into that, because of course everybody now, at least who's watched us before, knows what your hobbies are and things like that. So if we just go straight into discipline, because you're saying like you saw a biscuit today and you're almost going like,
Mm-hmm.
I just need that cookie. I
Yeah.
can have a good life if I have that cookie. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
going back to your why. Why am I
Yes.
doing this? So just talk
Mm-hmm.
us a little bit about these 19 days. How have you
Mm-hmm.
been able to say no to temptations and stayed
Mm-hmm.
disciplined so that you have been
Mm-hmm.
able to carry on until we're talking now of only 11 more days to go and we'll be done with this thing for now. But if you're making it a lifestyle, you have
Yeah.
eternity to go. Yeah, let's continue.
I had this lady, nowadays there are so many prompts on YouTube of people who are saying, I am 60, but look at me, I look 42. So there was
Yeah.
this lady, I can't remember her name, but I think she has made the 16/8 her lifestyle and she looks amazing.
Oh,
So
wow.
I just thought I would need to do this, but then by that time it looked very difficult because
Mm,
you keep meeting food near you.
mm,
So I would say first, let me say that this challenge caught up with one of my personal challenges. I think I
wow.
mentioned to you that I am doing a personal discipline challenge
Mm, mm,
where I want to say and mean what I say to myself,
yeah.
not to another person. I read a
Mm,
book which said before you even keep your word to someone else, you have to keep it to yourself. And that
mm,
is why, if I have told Claire we are going to have this live stream, I
mm,
really want to keep my word. So I
yeah.
won't start coming up with stories unless they are really inevitable. So it's
Mm,
part of the discipline.
well
So
done.
you see, it came together. So I had to discipline myself in my waking up. Like if I say I wake up at 4, I want to wake up at 4. If I say
Mm,
I'm going to, meet a client at 3, I'm not going to have excuses. And
mm,
so these now came in and blended well. So when
mm,
I'm thinking about food, you have talked about how to, just stay away from these the cues. You
mm,
mentioned something like that. So I just keep them away from me. As much as possible, I keep unhealthy foods away from me. But also
mm,
during the hours that I'm not aiming to eat, I
yeah.
just don't keep food near me.
Mm,
But also the statements I say in my mind, because in the longer run, there will be times that food will be there and I'm in a different environment where I'm
yeah.
not fully in control. So I
Mm,
just have to make it something that my mind uh, gets disciplined to do. So I would say with time, my
mm,
mind is getting disciplined. Initially, like weekends were very difficult because now
mm,
weekend kids are at
yeah.
we are cooking all the time, and that's
Yeah.
when for us in our home, that's when we do chapatis, and
Oh,
chapatis. So and then I love wheat and I love chapati. So the
yeah.
temptation to want to do two or three, and then having to limit myself to one or maximum two,
Mm,
as easy. But then I just have to remind myself, why are you doing this?
yeah.
Why why are you on this journey? So I think that has
Mm.
helped. That has helped me a lot to stay in the momentum, as you said.
Wow, wow, that
Yeah.
was broken down so nicely, isn't it? Because I usually say, if you don't know, I mentioned this in one of the streams that I have been reading a
Mm-hmm.
book alongside, and the book is basically talking about purpose. And this
Mm-hmm.
guy, like one of the days I was talking, I read about this Coca-Cola bottle that was dropped off in a village in
Mm-hmm.
Africa, and because thought people try to find the purpose for it, but then eventually got to a point that it was only one thing that could serve the purpose for so many people that they got to start fighting about it. Eventually, they
Mm-hmm.
started to hustle it around to kind of try to get it back to the gods, because the gods must be crazy to do something like this. And this guy was talking actually about purpose and saying, if you don't understand the purpose of something, you can actually abuse if you don't
Yeah.
understand the purpose of the body and things like that. But you've also talked about the why literally connects the purpose, because if you know, why am I
Mm-hmm.
doing this? What is the purpose of my intermittent fasting? It might be to lose weight, or it might be to get a better lifestyle, or wherever, or get a control over something. So once you
Mm-hmm.
understand one, the purpose or the why of it, and as I usually say, the
Yeah.
7 levels of why, going away from just because I'm doing this with Abby, so I don't want to disappoint Abby, because actually, to be honest, I'm not kidding. Sometimes you have been a motivation to me when I feel like I don't want to do this. I don't want to. I mean, it's so much. Sometimes it's so much
And
stuff
for
that
me too. Mm-hmm.
so
For
like
me
I'm like,
too.
oh,
Yeah.
I've got to do, a live stream again, that kind of thing, not again. But then I'm like, there is a reason why I'm doing this. I'm not just doing
Mm-hmm.
this for, if I kept it for myself, I'm sure I would have
Mm-hmm.
given up long time ago, because I just feel like
Yeah.
there are so many temptations. But because I know I've got an accountability partner, I'm like, yeah, if I meet Abby next time when we're talking about the challenge, and I'm like, well, I've just been eating, I couldn't catch up. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
disciplines you in a
Yeah.
sense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest things we talk about in coaching is commitment,
Mm,
because I was just talking to someone before we came on that, and told her, uh, in a coaching journey or in any journey, you see, like when you go, the footballers, when they are being coached,
mm.
the coach does the coaching, which could be maybe 30% of the work, but who plays the game is
The
the footballer.
footballers. Mm,
So it's the commitment. If you
yeah.
have to really put in the work, and
Yeah,
commitment is doing something even when it does not feel like, you
yeah,
just go ahead and do it. Even if you committed to doing it, so you just go ahead and do it. So
mm,
once we tell ourselves we are committed to this, and to someone who is starting, it may be tough, but
mm,
last time we said, if you fail, you rise up again. You fail,
yes,
you rise up again. So someone who could be listening to us should not say, I've not been able to be committed, so I'm just going to drop this. I've been lying. No, just know that it's a journey.
yeah,
And just on a journey, you'd either you'd rather be crawling or walking or running, but either way, just go ahead and move. As long as you're moving in the right direction, that is what matters.
yeah,
So for someone who may have started and not been able to be very consistent, they should know that it doesn't mean they stop. It doesn't mean they cannot do it. It
yeah,
just means that they are fighting. And so at the end of the day, if they persist, they will make it.
yeah,
So we just keep persisting, we just keep doing it until, we our minds and our bodies get accustomed to this new lifestyle that we want to develop.
Yeah, because I just got
Yeah.
my phone out. When you talked
Mm-hmm.
about that, it just reminded me of something that I posted earlier on my community page. And it
Mm-hmm.
says, I said, day 19, and speaking to my mind, reminding myself that I don't need it to be easy. I need it to be
Mm-hmm.
worth it. And I think
Wow.
that's one of the things that we forget. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you make commitment, as you're saying, or
Yes.
if you're disciplined
Mm-hmm.
enough, sometimes it will be difficult. But because you
Mm-hmm.
know it's worth it, you know the transformation that your body will go through. For example, with
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in awe of Ray's story when she was telling us, she told me she hasn't
Mm-hmm.
weighed herself,
Mm-hmm.
but you can clearly see
Yes.
in
Yes.
10
Yes.
days
Mm-hmm.
how much transformation she's gone through, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's worth it. It doesn't seem easy. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem easy. Like for her, she's saying she's living with this lady that loves to bake, that will call her.
Oh.
We've been to their house, and
Uh-huh.
when they brought food on the table, it felt like we were in a banquet. They are laying out the
Mm-hmm.
whole
Wow.
full table. But for her to
Mm-hmm.
say no to that, I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
not easy. But because
Yeah.
you're committed to the goal, you're committed to the
Mm-hmm.
new you, to the new lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
like it's difficult, Claire. It's difficult. You're
Yeah.
telling yourself, Abby, it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult, but because it's worth it, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
commit to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, and then it's easier and better to commit when we are healthy
Yeah,
and when we can willingly do it.
yeah.
For example, we all know that too much sugar is not good.
Mm,
And people take sugar. Sometimes I've been in awe just looking at people do 4 teaspoons in a cup, and I'm like, what?
really?
I remember asking somebody, are you looking for tea or are you trying to do honey in your tea? Why don't you just go buy honey and just take it?
Mm,
Because
mm,
then when somebody goes to hospital and now the doctor tells you you can no longer do sugar and you can no longer do tea, that
mm.
time I mean, no, salt. I meant salt.
Yeah.
At that time, it's by force, as in you
Mm,
have no choice, so you have to withdraw. So why
mm.
should we wait for that time and commit ourselves to life-changing, commitments and a lifestyle that is better for us? We would rather do it now
Yeah,
when you're doing it just to create a pattern that your mind kind of accepts, because
yeah.
it's possible to just do this and your mind accepts. So, like
Yeah.
a child who has never had sugar, they
Mm,
will not crave for sugar at all. But a child who is to sugar will refuse sugar without tea. So
yeah,
that's how our mind is. We just want this thing that we are used to. But then if
yeah.
we change the pattern, it could be hard to change the pattern. But then once we are done, it becomes easy and possible and just flawless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love
Mm-hmm.
the way you put it, because that's basically what I usually say every time. Even if you look at my community page where I
Mm-hmm.
post about my exercises, it's not I'm boasting for sure. It's just like encouraging myself and saying like my community as well. I usually
Mm-hmm.
call my exercises health investment, health bank investment, because I
Mm-hmm.
usually
Mm-hmm.
think like
Mm-hmm.
every time I
Yeah.
wake up, like today, my knees were playing up, and for some time that's I haven't run for a bit of a time. My knees were
Mm-hmm.
playing up, and I woke up and I was feeling like, I've got a bit of, I think, of a cold or something. So I had a bit of a sore
Mm-hmm.
throat, and I was thinking like, Claire, you can lie in bed, feel the comfort of your blankie, as my son calls
Mm-hmm.
it, and just not bother much. And of course, as you're saying, looking at it, you need to be in optimal health before you can do some of these things or most of
Yeah.
these things. And I thought, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, if I'm still okay to go a little bit for, I did a very same run but longer time, because my body, I was like listening to my body as I was running. I was like, yeah, listening to how I'm breathing and
Yeah.
everything. But then at the end of the day, I was reminding myself, if I'm not investing now, I can't go
Mm-hmm.
to the bank tomorrow and go to
Yeah.
my bank where I bank Abby with my bank card and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm coming to withdraw 100,000 Kenya shillings when I
Yes.
haven't been investing there. I think they'll look at
Mm-hmm.
me and they'll be like, eh? Are you okay? But if I have been investing, even if it's every month, I put in 10, well, we use pounds in the UK. So forgive me if I use pounds. I say I put in maybe 10 pounds today. And maybe next time I have change and I'll be like, okay, I've got a little bit more. Let's put in 20 pounds. And then things like that. When
Mm-hmm.
it gets to a point where I want to go and maybe get my hair done, or I want my nails done, and they ask me for the money, I'll be like, I've been investing, I've got money on my phone, I can touch
Yeah.
it and go. But if we haven't
Mm-hmm.
been doing that, and then
Yeah.
that's also what I think about even when I teach students, I say to them, look at it like you are investing. So get that commitment from saying, like, as you're saying, like I might not necessarily need all these things today. I might not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily need to come off sugar today, but tomorrow when I'm forced to do it, how
Mm-hmm.
willing will I be to do that? How about if I say, because I've been doing 4 teaspoons of sugar in my tea, tomorrow I
Mm-hmm.
do 3.5. And
Yeah.
then the next week, I don't want to do that drastic, as you're saying, like somebody who's never
Yeah.
been to run. Instead of asking them and
Mm-hmm.
saying, go 5 kilometers, it might just be putting on your running gear and not
Yeah.
even going out of the house, so that it's like those gradual changes that
Yes.
eventually, before you realize, somebody can have tea without sugar, but it didn't come up
Mm-hmm.
in one day. They've been doing those gradual steps. And I feel like that's how commitment looks like. You're like, I'm committed to
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna make massive changes. I might not be able, and I want you to come and talk about it. Like, I want to address somebody who might be watching this and saying it's too late for me to join that challenge. It's not
Mm-hmm.
late. You can still do 11 days and still find
Mm-hmm.
benefits from that 11
Yeah.
days if you
Yeah.
commit to it, rather than wanting to do the full 30 days that you had not
Mm-hmm.
committed to it at all. Do you like to add something on that?
Yeah, I would say it's better having baby steps than waiting to do giant steps later.
Mm,
You
mm,
see, a baby has very small steps, but they still get to where they are going.
yeah,
You will get there faster, but
yeah,
then, like marathoners, if we were to run with them, they would obviously outdo us.
yeah,
But the thing is, we just get to the destination.
yeah,
And so it's better to start now
mm,
uh, than keep saying, I will start, I will start, I will start. It's just like when you have a toothache or
mm,
a cavity, and then your dentist says, look, Claire, you have a cavity, and then it's not aching, and then you go say, it's not aching, so you
yeah,
relax and never
yeah,
go.
yeah,
But then that day that you will go with an ache, it's so painful that whatever the doctor
mm,
says, you just want to do. And I
yeah,
and I normally say being committed to a healthy lifestyle is
mm,
better, easier, and time saving because
yeah. Oh, wow.
today,
You need to
to
repeat that. You need to repeat that again. It's
yeah,
better, easier, and time
easier and
saving.
time saving
Mm,
because look at it this way. For example, for exercise, we take around 30 minutes to an hour to exercise every day,
mm,
willingly, free of charge, unless you're going to a gym where you pay. But if you're
mm,
doing the home, the run, or anything else, it's free.
yeah,
But then look at it as, when you say, I don't have time, I cannot do this, I'll do it later. And then now one day you land in your hospital clinic and your doctor says, now you actually need to be coming for therapy every day for 1 hour.
wow.
Now, keep in mind traffic, keep in mind you're not alone, so there could be a queue. So there
Mm,
could be so many things. So the 1 hour could transform to 3, 4 hours every day. So how many hours would those be? But if you invested, as you've said, if you've been
yeah,
investing into your health bank over a long period of time,
yeah,
then the 30 minutes could be actually saving you so many hours. So if we look at it that way, we will find a reason, a
yeah,
good reason to invest and to just plant, great seeds.
Yeah.
Well, if we remember the Bible, the parable of the sower,
Yeah, I love that.
whatever we sow, we will
You
reap.
rip.
So right now in this journey, we are sowing, not eating for several hours, but then when we get to eat, you just feel that you actually lost nothing. But then if we did a compulsive eating, then you realize at the end of the day you pay for it. And let me say
Yeah.
this: in today morning, I was listening to, what is his name, Sat Guru, a
Mm.
certain Indian guru, and he was
I love
saying,
that guy. Yeah, I know him.
yes, yeah, he was saying that most of us eat double what we need every day. So we manufacture a lot of energy more than we need. So he said, can you try cutting down your food by half? And you see, you may not even lose a lot of weight. You may not lose anything, but you will end up being productive.
Yeah.
Your sleeping patterns will improve.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, wow, I had never thought of it that way, but it's true. The food, the picking and eating can be too much at times.
Yeah, and when I was doing yesterday the video that you're saying that I flew and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't even realize that because sometimes I've got to make notes for myself kind of in my mind mentally before I can flow. I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about I talked a little bit about things to do with when you're fasting. Don't look at it like you are restricting yourself or it's like a kind of limiting yourself from the food or deprivation. I think that's the word that I
Mm-hmm.
use. Don't think of it
Mm-hmm.
like a deprivation, but just look at it
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
delay in my
Mm-hmm.
eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I am
Mm-hmm.
delaying so that I'm not eating within this time, but then when I
Mm-hmm.
come back to eat, I can eat a healthy meal. But because I
Mm-hmm.
have delayed myself, I've actually allowed my body to process any of the food that was stored in there. And then so that when I'm coming back to the next feeding window, I
Yeah.
kind of the pipe is clean, isn't it? It's like
Yes.
ready to
Yeah.
receive the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients. And when you look at it
Mm-hmm.
that way, it kind of gives you hope to realize, ah, fasting is actually not deprivation because the moment
Yes.
you're depriving yourself, you start having that unhealthy relationship. You start feeling
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm going back to it, I must pay back for what I've
Yes.
lost.
Yes.
But then because you're
Yeah.
looking at it, it's just like, I mean, I usually have breakfast at 10 and I
Yeah.
can have breakfast at 12 or 2,
Yeah.
depending on the
Mm-hmm.
cycle of which I'm fasting. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other food, I just have breakfast and maybe have a toast and an egg if you're eating egg and some beans. And that's your protein. You have some nice mix there of a balanced food and have your fruit. And then at 5, you can have your tea or your dinner or your supper, whatever you want to call it. And then you're looking
Mm-hmm.
at, I'm going to have more vegetables. I'm going to have less ugali or one chapati rather than three chapatis. And then just
Yeah.
fill up with the other more healthier stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
basically miss
Mm-hmm.
out. What did you miss out on? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It just delayed the time you're eating, and then
Yeah.
ensuring that what you're eating is more healthier. So like
Mm-hmm.
swapping it around, so you're having more healthy stuff, more of
Yeah.
them healthy stuff, feeling
Mm-hmm.
yourself, fueling yourself in a way that you will sleep comfortably, be happy through the night. You've slept
Yeah.
8 hours without an overly full tummy that will be
Yeah.
rumbling and grumbling as you're
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. And then wake up in the morning, go exercise, do other stuff, come back at 2 and have your breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Can it be
Uh,
that simple?
yeah, and then, I was just thinking about it. The other day when we were talking about the mind in relation to intermittent fasting, I remember mentioning that the way we are wired, our minds kind of think food will disappear.
Yeah.
There has always been bread, but when you see it, you feel like if you don't eat it, it will never come back.
Mm.
And I've seen people who say they are fasting, and then they take their breakfast, keep it, take their lunch, keep it, take their dinner, keep it, and then eat all of it. And oh, and
It's revenge time, isn't it?
yes. So it's like it's even worse
Yeah,
because now you took everything and put it in your tummy at once.
yeah,
It's better even when you distribute it so that the digestive system is not so tired. But
yeah,
then this is something we have to keep doing
yeah,
every day, just doing it and knowing that we are cultivating the discipline.
yeah,
It could take some time,
yeah,
but we need to be patient with ourselves, as we said
yeah,
before. Just be
yeah.
patient with yourself, keep going until you finally get there.
Yeah, and as you're talking about that, Abby, sorry, I'm just gonna. I know we didn't plan to talk about this, but it's just something that has dropped in my heart as you're talking
Mm-hmm,
about it. And you even have a video about it, and
mm-hmm,
I think I'll link it in the description box so that anybody who wants to watch it later can do that about the
mm-hmm,
scarcity mindset. Because when you're talking about this,
mm-hmm,
where somebody is just taking food, like I'm fasting, but then I've taken my breakfast, I've taken my lunch, I've
mm-hmm.
taken my dinner, I've kept them, all of them.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's more to do with a scarcity mindset more than anything else. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about that? I know we didn't plan about this, but I just
Mm-hmm.
thought about it. And if, with your permission, I would like to include a link of that video just in this description, just to talk a little bit about the scarcity mindset.
Yeah, you can link it. It's okay.
Mm,
That makes me think. You see, Claire, when you have a pattern in life, it's actually a pattern. It's not just food. If
mm,
you have a pattern of thinking that there is scarcity in food, just look at yourself even in other areas. You will realize you keep thinking there is also scarcity in money,
mm,
scarcity in resources. It's a program in you that wants to hold and keep so much.
yeah.
So you may think that the intermittent fasting is just breaking one habit, but it could
Mm,
actually be helping you to break many other habits. Like
yeah.
if you don't have discipline around food, chances are you don't have discipline with time. Chances
Mm,
are you don't have discipline with with money, and
mm,
you get to have a life that is totally confused and disorganized.
mm,
So just thinking, the scarcity mindset, is the one that thinks things are not enough in the world, and
mm,
that I have to grab everything now because it's going to run out. But
mm,
then the abundance mindset knows that these things are there, they are flowing. Food has been there, it's
mm,
going to be there.
yeah.
Money, yes, somebody said money is omnipresent. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you meet
I
money.
never had that.
you know, everywhere you go, you meet
Mm,
money.
mm,
So he was saying that why are we so afraid that we are not going to have money, yet money is omnipresent. And I thought, oh my, this mindset
mm,
that things, money will disappear is so wrong.
yeah.
And it's the one that keeps us from having the abundance that we were born to have. So
Mm,
even as we do this challenge, let's just look at it as a challenge that is going to influence even
yeah.
other areas of our lives, not just this one, but many other areas. So
Yeah.
it helps us to break the different cycles and the different uh, patterns, the patterns that do not serve us, the patterns that do not help us. So it just
Yeah.
helping us to break those unhealthy patterns.
Yeah, and thank you so much for saying that, Abby, because as you say that, I thought we are not going to do
Mm-hmm.
gratitude today. We will do gratitude next week because we'll be close to the
Okay.
end of our fast. So we can
Wow.
actually take
Wow.
some time to
Mm-hmm.
reflect back and spend an
Mm-hmm.
hour or so just going back and thinking about the journey. And
Mm-hmm.
as you were saying last week, we were here, when we were here celebrating
Yeah.
those wins,
Mm-hmm.
the small wins, and maybe we'll have looked at your waist circumference again
Yeah.
and see inches
Mm-hmm.
have shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my
Mm-hmm.
weight will have
Mm-hmm.
shifted, and we'll have more time even to do the dance, because I strongly
Yeah.
feel that we need to
Mm-hmm.
dig a little bit more deeper into these, because as you're saying that, I just got reminded of the story of these children of Jacob in the Bible. There was
Mm-hmm.
Esau and no, the children of Isaac. Jacob, there was Esau and Jacob,
Jacob,
and
yes.
these two boys. One of them
Mm-hmm.
was the firstborn, isn't it? So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
generally,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by nature and by the Jewish laws and principles and everything, the
Yeah.
birthright belonged to the firstborn. But then the
Mm-hmm.
firstborn, when he became overly hungry over
Yeah.
something that he would have actually delayed, he didn't feel like he
Mm-hmm.
was going to die. He would have gone home to Rebecca, and Rebecca
Yeah.
will have made a really nice dinner for his children, for her children,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Esau felt so hungry, and for a bowl of soup,
Yeah. Huh?
nothing special. It wasn't like a,
Yeah.
a burger or a macaroni cheese or a
Yeah.
pizza. It was a
Mm-hmm.
bowl of lentil soup.
Mm-hmm.
He despised his birthright
Yeah.
and he gave it away to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
People say
Mm-hmm.
later on, Jacob was a supplanter, so he stole it away. I strongly
Yeah.
feel like he never stole it away. The
He
brother
was
gave it
given. Yes.
away because
Yeah.
he despised it
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yes.
bowl of soup. It was
Mm-hmm.
literally food that made this guy, even when he came back, he was crying and weeping and mourning and everything. It was all about food. That eventually,
Mm-hmm.
Abby, he lost all that he would have heard as a firstborn for
Yeah.
food. Look at,
Mm-hmm.
even go back into the garden. It's not a preaching sermon, but go back into the Garden of Eden. What was
Mm-hmm.
the fall of man? They looked at the fruit and it
Yeah.
was desirable and pleasant to the eye, and they couldn't
Mm-hmm.
control themselves. The woman reached out and tested and gave to the man. It led to the fall of man because of
Mm-hmm.
food. If you look
Yeah.
back into the children of Israel, I wonder, these guys were being worked up, like they were being
Mm-hmm.
made to make bricks from, like it was crazy labor. But when they get into the
Mm-hmm.
wilderness, they
Yeah.
begin to crave. Do you know what they were craving? Cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Cucumber. It's water. And the
Food.
onions and the leek. It was the
Mm-hmm.
food because of that
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy, undisciplined
Yeah.
relationship. And that's why I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it might just be somebody is trapped in that cycle. As you're
Yeah.
saying, like it could be the scarcity, you're feeling like I will never have enough. So when you're called for a buffet,
Mm-hmm.
you realize, oh my God, it's all these that I need to eat, all this food.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, there was a time
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with that. I used to think like when you're given a buffet, you're invited to eat as much as you can. You just will be
Yeah.
filling your plate, filling and filling, and you're forgetting there's all
Mm-hmm.
this that you can go back over and over and over again and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna take it away from you, but it's because of that poor bad relationship that there's no discipline between
Mm-hmm.
yourself and food. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Abby?
Let me say this in passing. So, Claire is this vessel that is being used to help us not despise our birthright
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
because of food. But
I
anyway,
know.
that's on a light note. So, I have gone to, it was a conference.
Hmm.
And do you know, at some point, I had to stop and just look at people's plates. I was
Wow.
shocked. When we went, and at 10 a.m., there is tea,
Hmm.
the great Kenyan tea, and then there is they make samosas, mandazi, chicken wings, and many other small things. And you go
Hmm.
there and wonder. And I had breakfast at home already. There's an egg there, and so I see people pick all of them,
Wow.
everything. And I'm thinking, to the person who made these, their thinking is you will pick a protein, pick a carbohydrate, maybe one or
Yeah.
two, but then
Yeah.
we feel like we have to take all of them.
Yeah.
And then just 2 hours later, there is a whole, you know, uh, array of meals.
Mm.
And there is chicken, there is meat, there is fish, there is everything there. And so I would see people just fill up and fill up
Mm.
and fill up. And then what made me sad is that at the end of the day, they're not even able to finish. So
Food
they leave
waste.
it.
Mm.
So they waste it and leave it. And for me, I just decided to develop a discipline where when I go to serve, I first check, what are you serving?
Mm.
And then
Wow.
now I go to the end and check and then come back and serve what I want, because I realized that when I fill my plate to the brim,
Mm.
the food actually annoys me. I'm like, who will finish all this food? And then
Yeah.
personal discipline tells me don't throw away the food and don't leave it. You're actually the one who did the serving. Why did you say serve too much? So I think
Mm.
it's just that scarcity mindset where we are feeling like when you go to a hotel and something tells you that these things you never have them at home, so you
Or
just go
you've
ahead.
paid for it. So your mind
Yes,
tells you
yes,
you have paid.
yeah. But imagine if you pay and then live there with a medical bill, because now it's your tummy that will be making, just giving you complaints all the time. So I
Mm.
think just have disciplining ourselves to know that these things are on earth. If it's chicken, it will be there tomorrow. If it's
Yeah.
bread, it will be there tomorrow. If we told ourselves that and told ourselves these things are on earth, they are not
Yeah.
running away, they are with us to stay. They are abundant. Maybe we could tell ourselves, like the person who talks about the money, that food is omnipresent. And then
Yeah.
we would just not want to take everything at the same time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
remember, it's a program of the mind that has to be broken. It has to be
Mm.
broken by discipline. It has to be broken by intentional eating, where you don't
Mm.
just eat, you are intentional. You ask yourself, what do I want to eat today and why?
Yeah.
When you ask yourself that, then you know what you want. You don't just go ahead and just eat anything for the sake of eating.
Yeah, and sometimes, of
Mm-hmm.
course, we don't want it, as I said, I don't want it to ever look like we live mad life. So it makes
Mm-hmm.
it's easier for them to do it because they are this professional or they are this. No, we are normal human beings. We have temptations like
Yeah.
you guys. We are faced
Mm-hmm.
with things like this that we are talking about. Abby has talked about, for example, what she's had to practically deal with to say to herself when she goes for these conferences and things like that. She will only take what she needs, and then what she doesn't need, she doesn't need it for sure. For me, I
Mm-hmm.
found a similar thing as well. Like I was telling my sister at the moment, I was saying to her, my son has really wanted to go to a restaurant to eat breakfast before he goes back to school. And I was telling my
Mm-hmm.
sister, we have this restaurant not really far away from where we live. It's like eat
Mm-hmm.
all as you can. You pay £9.99 per person. Children to under 16 years old, they eat free. And I've been there a few times
Oh.
with my son. So we are like on a Saturday, he goes swimming, like he's learning swimming like yourself. So he does swimming from
Mm-hmm.
8:30 to 9. And when we come back
Mm-hmm.
from swimming, sometimes it's like, Mommy, can we go and have breakfast? And not because we do that every single day, but sometimes you can be
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe it's just a nice time to go out and be like, sometimes his dad has been away for a couple of months, weeks now. Maybe you are just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's go out and just maybe get a bit of break from all this cooking and things like that. And I've realized when we go, my son loves sausages. Give
Mm-hmm.
Judah sausages for breakfast, like snack, lunch, evening tea, dinner. My boy is in
Mm-hmm.
his comfort zone. And so you
Mm-hmm.
get there, you find all different types of sausages are cooked, all different types of there's bacon, there's beans, there's that. And as you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy that you can be like, oh well, I need just to eat and eat and eat. If after all, I'm paying for it. But
Yeah.
for me, something that
Mhm.
has practically helped me. Number one, because of
Mhm.
my discipline of deciding I'm gonna take
Mhm.
away dairy from my food. So I don't eat yogurt, which is dairy. I don't eat cheese. I don't drink milk, which is dairy. So when I go for all those, they have all these different varieties of different cheese or whatever. I know I'm not gonna go there because I
Mhm.
don't eat that. So for me, that already helps me with that discipline part of it. I'm like, Claire, is it today that you're just gonna go and eat cheese when you haven't eaten
Mhm.
cheese for more than 2 years? Just because you got
Mhm.
and seen cheese in front of you, it's free of charge.
Yeah.
You're gonna break
Mhm.
all that you worked for 2 years because of this.
Mhm.
And now that we are fasting, let's get it back into the fasting context. You'll ask yourself and say, I have done 30 days of intermittent fasting challenge. Am I just going to
Mhm.
allow all that sacrifice that I put into this just to go
Yeah.
down into the drain because of lack
Mhm.
of discipline to kind of
Yeah.
keep this? Because the problem with our bodies is that you can lose. That's where the yo-yo dieting comes in. Somebody
Mhm.
can go into
Mhm.
restriction, and then when they
Yeah.
restrict themselves they lose a lot of weight. And then you can do things like, I know that my former landlady, she came to me one day in January, and she was telling me, Claire,
Mhm.
I'm on this ketogenic diet. And I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. And then she started
Mhm.
breaking it down for me. And then she came back again. I was like, how are you getting on? She's like, I've lost a lot of weight. And then she came back again, and I was like, how are you getting on? She's like, like, became busy. I haven't been. And then I put back all the weight that I've lost.
Oh.
And it's
Oh my.
possible if you're
Mhm.
not disciplined. It can be
Mhm.
difficult getting on to anything for a starters. It can be
Yeah.
difficult.
Mm.
I mean, I've run more than, I don't know, 100,000. I can't put
Hey.
hours on how much I've run in this year.
Uh-huh.
I've got it somewhere
Mhm.
on my phone. But then if I
Mhm.
try to think about, imagine all that effort I put in. When it's snowing, I'm running. When it's raining,
Mhm.
I'm running. When it's
Mhm.
dry, I'm running. Now we've done, Abby, 19 days of sacrifice. It's not,
Yeah.
I feel, for me, I feel like it's a sacrifice because it's something
Mhm.
that you are denying yourself. Your body feels
Yes.
it's being denied
Mhm.
its rights. And then
Mhm.
come the 14th of September, 15th of September, after the challenge, you're just eating,
Mhm.
eating, 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 eating,
Mhm.
eating, eating.
Mhm.
It gets to a point you're asking yourself, why did I even do this in the first
Mhm.
point? Because
Mhm.
all the benefits that you have gained over
Mhm.
time, you've basically taken all of them and put them away. And it feels like you
Mhm.
never learned anything from what you've done. Whereas you
Yeah.
can actually, we're not saying go overboard and just decide and you're like, I'm going to be the most saint in the world. No, no, no. We're
Mhm.
not saying that.
Mhm.
We're not asking for perfection, but saying, like, if you have a habit that is a healthy habit that you have
Mhm.
started, then look for ways of preserving them. For me, I usually say, all the effort I put in, why should I crash down at the last minute over
Mhm.
something that I can actually just say no to have it later? I'm not saying
Yeah.
no to that cookie
Mhm.
because I can never have a cookie, but I'm saying no to a cookie for now because I can have it at tea time.
Yes.
What do you think about it,
Mhm.
Abby?
Um, I would say that, it's just like you said, it's not like we are perfect. I can't tell you that since we began on day one, I've been perfect to date. I'll be lying,
Mm,
because there are moments I have, in that window, or my eating window, I have
mm,
actually realized I've done more,
mm,
more than I should. But what
mm.
do I do? I just tell myself, Abby, get back.
Yeah,
I once read a book that said in each and every one of us there is a judge and a coach.
yeah, I
So
love that.
who you listen to will determine what you decide to do. If your judge is the
Mm,
one who tells you, so Abby, you're now on day 19, and today you ate this and this and this, that was too much. Your stomach is actually saying you ate too much. So just drop this. This is hard.
mm,
But then your
mm,
coach will come in and tell you, what you did today was not good, but then you can pick it up tomorrow. I
Yeah,
had a certain person on YouTube say that strong people are not the ones who never fall,
yeah,
but the ones who are able to pick up their mats and fall. Because
yeah,
then they even have a story to tell people. If I am a coach who comes and tells you I was born in perfection, I have been perfect, then what do you have to get from me? But I come to you and
absolutely.
tell you I have failed, things have been tough, but then this is how I have overcome this far, and this is how I still overcome. And so we are on this journey. So
Mm,
it's a journey that we keep doing, we keep walking, we keep moving, never giving up, but just holding on
yeah,
and telling ourselves, like you say, stay in the momentum, just keep
yeah,
moving.
yeah,
Like an athlete who falls, but then rises up and keeps going
yeah,
without minding whether they'll be number 1 or number 5. They just keep going until they hit the finish line.
yeah.
So we just have to keep going and keep going.
Yeah, and there is something that you just said that I think I posted again on I post quite some stuff on my community page. I'm just gonna look at it at the moment. And as you're saying that just reminded me, and I think as we bring
Mm-hmm.
this to a close, because I don't want to take more than an hour of your time, somebody
Mm-hmm.
was saying something that really, really just kind of wraps nicely what you're talking about. Did I
Mm-hmm.
lose you?
No, no, no.
I
I'm
think my
here.
AirPods went off or something, but it's okay. I'll try just to continue with that.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Even if you are on the right track,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get run over if you just sit there.
I
You
saw
could be
that.
100% on the right track, Abby,
Yeah.
but if you sit there, you will get
Mm-hmm.
run over.
Yeah.
You need to kind of stay in momentum, and we will
Mm-hmm.
fall for sure. Even Jesus knew in this world. That's why he said to us when he was praying, he said, in this world you will have trouble.
Yeah.
We will have tough times, we will have temptations, we will have
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of things. But when you fall, or when you just sit back, and you fall, and then you just sit back and say, oh well, and you throw a pity party to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, you're not doing yourself justice.
Yeah.
You're basically kind of in a way agreeing with that judge in you and condemning
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and
Yeah.
condemnation does not change anything. But when you
Yeah.
allow yourself the situation that you are in to convict you, so that you can
Mm-hmm.
make a change and say, I wasn't disciplined enough, but I want to make a right shift so that I
Mm-hmm.
can be disciplined to be
Yeah.
better tomorrow. And that's why I usually say, my today must be better than my yesterday. My
Yeah.
tomorrow must be better than my today. Because if
Mm-hmm.
I've fallen today, I will be doing myself disservice if I fall down and I just sit back and say, oh, well, I've fallen down. Or if I am on the right track and sit down and say, oh, well, I'm doing the right thing. You need to still stay in momentum. You will do this fasting, maybe if it's the challenge, if you're doing that, or
Mm-hmm.
you might start a health journey. And honestly, establishing anything healthy, your body will reject it. Your
Yeah.
body, you told me about the mother part of you that wants to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
It will tell
Mm-hmm.
you, it will throw tantrums,
Yeah.
tantrums. It will tell
Mm-hmm.
you all, it will
Yeah.
analyze all the negative things possible
Mm-hmm.
to make you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you are not gonna make it. But
Yeah.
then it is the discipline, it is the commitment, it is
Mm-hmm.
the consistency that
Yeah.
will keep you going. That
Mm-hmm.
you've fallen down. I think I've heard of a story. I don't want even to try and go there because I might get it wrong and get judged for that for sure. But I think there was somebody who was running. There was a marathon or a race that a runner went literally and fell down. I watched it
Mm-hmm.
actually. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
It was a
Mm-hmm.
triathlon. They fell down, picked themselves up, went back onto the bike, and still rode themselves to victory
Mm-hmm.
despite having fallen down.
Yeah.
They pick themselves up and still
Mm-hmm.
run. We
Yeah.
are in a race in this world. It's a
Mm-hmm.
race that we will do, Abby, for the rest of our days of our lives.
Yeah.
When we fall down, which we will definitely do, we are not perfect in any way until we
Mm-hmm.
live here, until we go home. We will
Yeah.
have moments when we will fall. We will have moments when we will fail. But the
Mm-hmm.
moment you become a success story, when you
Mm-hmm.
learn how to pick yourself up. And
Yes.
B, you said this, Abby, 2 weeks ago, and I will just remind those who are watching this, maybe now or maybe in the future, be the best cheerleader of yourself. Be the best
Yeah.
encourager of yourself. Be the best
Mm-hmm.
version of yourself. Because if you're waiting when you fall down for Abby to come and pick you up, Abby is trying
Mm-hmm.
to pick herself up. She's trying
Yeah.
to do other things. So you have to learn to
Mm-hmm.
tell yourself constantly, girl, you've fallen down, you've fallen over, but you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
pick yourself up. And I love when you told us last week, as you're looking yourself in the mirror and clapping for yourself, you can look
Mm-hmm.
yourself in the mirror and say, Claire, we will rise again. And you
Yeah.
know, I've told of a story. I read a proverb every single day. Like today
Mm-hmm.
is 1st of September, I read Proverbs chapter 1. And one of
Wow.
the proverbs says, the righteous man falls 7 times, but they
Mm-hmm.
rise up. You know, it is
Mm-hmm.
that, oh, I can see my sister is online. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It is
I
that
see her.
when you fall down and being
Mm-hmm.
able to look yourself in the mirror and say, girl, you've fallen down, girl, you've messed up, but you
Mm-hmm.
will wake up again.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you will face that world, you will face
Mm-hmm.
that failure and say, failure, you're not final. I'm rising
Mm-hmm.
again to victory because I know as long as I'm still alive. That's why we wake up with a new day, isn't it? A new day is a
Yeah.
time and a new chapter to kind of, in
Mm-hmm.
a way, make better what we messed up yesterday. Do you have anything you
Yeah.
want to say about that as we bring this to a close, my dear sister and friend?
Yeah. As you say that, I used to see people say every new day is a new opportunity. And I would wonder, opportunity for what? What exactly do they mean?
Mm,
But as I kept, just learning it, I learned every day is a new opportunity. I would see opportunities as those big things, like
mhm.
jobs, money. I didn't realize it's an opportunity just uh, even in my personal development, in what
Yeah,
I do, what I plan to invest in myself.
yeah,
So everything that we do every day, comes into that bank. And as you've
yeah,
said, we just need to keep depositing in that bank so that
yeah,
later on we are able to have some withdrawals to make.
yeah.
If you're thinking about your why, think about, the beautiful children. If you're a parent and you
Mm,
want to spend longer years with them, longer
absolutely.
healthy years, because you could also have longer sickly years, but
Yeah.
then longer healthy years. Of course, God is the one who gives us the good health, but then
Mm,
we have our part to play, like a
absolutely.
person who is taking the 4 spoons of sugar is definitely making a wrong investment. So we just need to begin depositing great things into this bank. And then,
Mm,
last time we talked about be your number one best friend. So
yeah,
today I just want to leave our viewers with, are you listening to your coach or are you listening to
to the
your
judge.
judge? So let's
Mm,
listen more to your coach, because we all have an inner coach within us who keeps
yeah,
telling us. The problem is we keep ignoring. We keep
yeah.
ignoring, and when the inner coach says, my friend, what you're doing is not right, it's going to mess you up,
Mm,
and we ignore and say tomorrow, tomorrow,
mm,
tomorrow, and
mm.
this tomorrow never comes. So
And-
we need to begin paying attention to the
Yeah,
inner coach
yeah,
and just develop these new patterns, new discipline. And remember, as I've said, it's not just about food. if your patterns around food have a problem, check
Yeah,
your other patterns and just
yeah,
see, are they okay? Most likely
absolutely.
they are not. And what's the
Mm.
remedy? Just do something about it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
as you say that, and I want us to bring this to an end, is
Mm-hmm.
you can identify a problem, and if you don't do anything about it, it's as good
Yes.
as not really identifying, isn't it? Doing
Yeah.
something about that. And
Mm-hmm.
as you're saying that, Abby, as you're talking about, for example, somebody who takes 4 teaspoons of sugar and then not looking after themselves and knowing that, okay, it's God who gives us grace and health. I thought about it. I heard somebody
Mm-hmm.
saying, you can go in a car and you're praying, God protect me so that I don't have an accident, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
put on your seatbelt, and you go
Yeah.
and crash, and you start blaming God for not answering
Mm-hmm.
your prayers when actually your
Yeah.
prayer was put on your seatbelt. That seatbelt
Mm-hmm.
will protect you
Mm-hmm.
from crashing.
Yeah.
So you have prayed, but He
Mm-hmm.
has provided a way so that you are
Mm-hmm.
safe. As it might come as human intervention by
Yeah.
them giving you that. But when you crash, when you have your seatbelt on,
Mm-hmm.
chances of
Mm-hmm.
survival are higher than
Yeah.
crashing without a seatbelt. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do
Yeah.
when it comes to our health. We are
Mm-hmm.
building the wall of protection. I mean, not really necessarily a wall of protection, because it's God who gives us the wall of protection. But then when we are reinforcing that by
Mm-hmm.
praying into long health, praying for longevity. He says in His
Yeah.
word, with long life He will satisfy us and things like that. But then we can't live a careless life and
Mm-hmm.
expect to have
Yeah.
longevity. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
live a careless life and say, well, God is going to protect me. You're
Yeah.
tempting Him because He has provided those ways in which you can sit down, and maybe could be one of it. You're listening to us, you're listening to this information and not being able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then when
Mm-hmm.
things come, you start to blame God and say, He wasn't fair. He didn't look after me. I prayed for this.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have cancer? I'm not saying that cancer is a punishment from God, but maybe you could have just ended up
Yeah.
eating that healthy food, eating natural food that will protect you, like the seatbelt.
Mm-hmm.
As you're doing your journey through life, you're having
Mm-hmm.
that source of, like, in a way, and not really putting your confidence in these things, because they are works of men for sure. We put our
Yeah.
confidence in God, but we pray for wisdom, for knowledge, for understanding, so that He gives us the
Mm-hmm.
grace and the enablement for those new chapters. You're saying new
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that we can actually make better the things that we need to do, so that at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging ourselves and not being judgmental and just staying disciplined when we fall down. If there's anything we want you guys to know today, when we fall down, I think I don't want to say if you fall down, because chances are we will fall down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
fall down, let us learn
Mm-hmm.
to pick ourselves up. And sometimes you can do it yourself. Sometimes you might need to reach out to somebody else to kind of help you. That's where the safety of
Mm-hmm.
friendships, good friendships, come in. Safety
Yeah.
of doing life with other people, that can be a good way
Mm-hmm.
of being disciplined, isn't it? Because if I'm doing this intermittent fasting with Abby, as I said already at the beginning, I know that's my accountability partner. And that can be somebody, if you're struggling with a pattern, particularly because today we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about discipline, and you're struggling with breaking free from a pattern. Maybe it's that scarcity mindset, and you've tried
Mm-hmm.
maybe sometimes to say, I'm going to be disciplined with the way I eat, when I eat, and things like that, and you're finding it a little bit more difficult. You might just want to approach somebody. You can go to Abby, she's a life coach, and say, can you do this journey with me? It's worthwhile. I mean, today I was running in the morning and I was remembering what Abby said. And that really made me think, I'm going to do an investment in this, because you said you are worth investing in you, and you are
Mm-hmm.
worth
Mm-hmm.
invest. You are good soil. You can
Yeah.
invest in yourself by maybe even
Mm.
reaching out to a life coach, which will bring us to
Yeah.
Abby talking a little bit about herself, so that we can bring this to an end. Like, you might want to
Mm-hmm.
invest in a life coach, somebody that will kickstart you on the journey. And then once you're confident enough, you're able to do it for the longer
Mm-hmm.
term. Or maybe you might not even say, well, you might say, I don't have the money to invest in a life coach, which maybe it's another conversation to have. But you can join
Mm-hmm.
things like this. It's free. I'm not charging anyone to do a challenge with us. I'm not
Yeah.
charging anyone to come and watch these YouTube videos. of course, if the things that Abby and myself are doing here, if we wanted to charge,
Yeah.
it's priceless. It can really be a lot of money to do sessions, an hour long of a session that we invest in people and talk about them. But we have all these resources, not necessarily even Abby and myself. There are so many
Mm-hmm.
books you can read. There are so many podcast episodes that you can watch. But as long as you are doing something, that's the most important thing that we've talked
Yeah.
about today. Do
Mm.
something. And that
Yeah.
could include hiring a life coach like Abby, which I give you some time to plug in for yourself, my dear sister.
Well, thank you for that. Yes, I am a certified life coach. And if you're interested in just knowing, because the things we are talking about are things I have been there, some of which I am still in the journey of breaking, but at least I know what I'm breaking and I am aware.
Mm.
So, just if you're interested, you can email me on abyscoachinghouse@gmail.com. My WhatsApp number is +254 781 248 284. So on those you can get me, and then we can just talk about life and just talk about, you could even find that the reason you're struggling is your personality type. Maybe you don't
Mm.
know what your personality type is. We can break it down and just get to know who are you exactly and why do you do what you do. Because
Yeah,
every journey of transformation begins from self-awareness. So once
absolutely.
you are self-aware, then you can move from there and just unleash that person that you are divinely meant to be. Yes.
Absolutely. And of course,
Yeah.
Abby is on YouTube. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to her channel, head over to at Abby's. No, no,
Abby's
no.
coaching
Abby's
house.
Coaching House. I
Yeah.
always get it because you have blessed Abby and you brought Abby's Coaching House. Head
It's
over
Abby's
to Abby's
coaching house.
Coaching House, love on her,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe on her channel, follow what she's doing. I do it. I am on YouTube, but I still go and
Mm-hmm.
watch the content that
Thank
she
you.
gets
Thank you.
out there. And that's why I can talk about
Mm-hmm.
it because, of course,
Yeah.
I don't watch it because I want to talk about it, but I watch it
Mm-hmm.
because it is rich and it's something that is very nourishing to,
Yeah.
like, as I said, I am doing life coaching with Abby without her doing, knowing that she's doing life coaching to me as well, which is really
Thank you.
amazing. No worries. So,
Mm-hmm.
as usual, it has been so much of a pleasure catching up with my dear friend, this lovely, beautiful soul, Abigail. If you're
Thank
online,
you.
why not just drop some love emojis, fire emojis, whatever it is, to love on her? If not, leave it
Mm-hmm.
in the comment section. Let her know how blessed she is, and also she's a blessing to us. It has been so much a pleasure again catching up with you guys. For those who've stuck with us, I've seen some people online today. Thank you so much for supporting what we do. If you find this in any way useful or helpful, I usually say watch it, but also pass it on to another person. You never know, it
Mm-hmm.
might be useful or helpful. And if you want, of course, to consider supporting what you're doing by subscribing, commenting, liking, we'll be more than happy and appreciate that. Abby and myself will be back next week. Hopefully on Friday. We'll try to do this on a Friday, but if there is any change,
Yeah.
we'll do it on a Thursday. And we will come back. We wanted to do two topics today, but thank God because He just decided to give us some other insights of what to talk about, which we never planned beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And we will
Mm-hmm.
do gratitude next week as we are coming towards the end of our journey, which is sad. But of course, as I mentioned, it's not going to be the end. There is something new coming. So there's another challenge that will be coming that will be lighter to do. We want to do it for a longer time. So we want to do it kind of in a lighter way so that we can sustain it for long rather than being intense, which is something that you do with shorter challenges. But if you're doing something for a longer term, it makes sense if you do it less intense. Until then, my prayer for you guys is that you will prosper and be in good health, even as your souls prosper. Know that you are highly loved, celebrated, and appreciated. I shall be back tomorrow which is my 20th day weighing day. And then I'll talk about the weight, if there's any weight loss. If not, I'm happy. I'm okay with the journey because I'm not doing this, as I said, for weight loss. I'm doing more for the health part of it. And we'll see how much weight, if I've lost any. If not, I will be celebrating other wins tomorrow. And then next week, we don't know what God has in plan for us. But if you're still here, as He gives us the grace, we'll come back with something else. Until then, we shall see you guys. It's goodbye from me. Goodbye. And it's goodbye
Bye.
from Abby.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye. See you later, guys. Bye. And thank you so
Bye.
much, Abby. I love you.
Love you too. Thanks for having me. I
Thank
appreciate.
you. I appreciate you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye bye.
Bye.